Hey guys, I just wanted to make a little video on a problem I had on a Taco 1900 series pump, and it's on this is a circulating pump for a Lochinvar boiler. And the problem we had was this thing was making a noise, sounded like the bearing was just going to heck. It was squealing, then it'd start clunking, then it'd squeal. And I got it apart and got to looking, and the impeller had some galding on it. So it made me think, okay, maybe the bearing was bad and it's been, it was galding against the volute in here. So I bought some new bearings. It takes 6203 bearings for this motor. Got everything apart, took this out, lifted it up. There's a seal kit under here. 4 bolts down here that hold it on. And it comes up, and on the end of the shaft, they got a shaft adapter for the impeller. That goes on the keyway. There's a special sleeve that goes on this, and it sits on there, and then this goes over it, goes up through the center of that, and your seal kit goes over that, and the impeller goes on top, and then of course you got the screw, reverse thread screw that goes on the top of this. So I get the motor all back together and everything, get all the bearings in there replaced, get this thing on there, push him on, and he's kind of tight, so I use a piece of plastic conduit. This is actually electrical conduit, so CPVC pipe, whatever. And I get it on there like that, and I use a leather hammer, drive it down on there. I got it drove down on there, and I give it a spin, and this thing is just wobbling back and forth like that. So I'm thinking I wasted all my time with the bearings. I have a bent shaft, because this looks in pretty good shape. So I take this off, hook the motor up to 115 volts, watch it run. It's running true. So the last time this was changed, no, it wasn't me. Apparently, I don't know apparently when it was probably put back on, since it was so snug, they probably tapped it on from the end and bent it. Because I remember when the person replaced it, they got it all back together. It did sounded horrible. Like, you listen to this one here. It runs, it's smooth. You don't hear it, you don't hear anything. So this one sounded like crap, but it ran for 2 years like that. It would sound, it just sounded a little rough. And I guess it got to the point finally I don't know if it bent worse or what happened. But I bought a new one of these. $190 for one of these guys. Got it put back on, and it's true as can be. So if you ever have one of these little 1900 series pumps, sometimes if these aren't handled properly, and if you don't put them back on like this, you start tapping on the end somehow, maybe put the screw in there and start tapping, think you're doing all right, or pressing in with an arbor press even. You could damage it. I mean, it bent easy. It had to have. I mean, I know the guy that put it in, he didn't bang on it like with a sledge or anything, so it doesn't take much to bend it. So I'm going to get this guy put back in, and get him up and running. So I've got the gasket. So basically what I'm going to do is, put the gasket on there, get this guy set back up in there, and get all the bolts back in place, snug it all down, and get it running again. All right, got it back together, got all the bolts in there. Now this guy was kind of hard to get in there because that impeller fits real snug in that volute. And I don't know if that could have been a factor. I don't know if he'd have possibly got the impeller into the volute and maybe let it go enough to try to get bolts in there, and that might have been it. But I've got it in there. I'm gonna turn the water on. Give it some. See if we're leaking. Hope not. I always try to get water on these things. Never run these dry, because that graphite and that ceramic galled those surfaces. You're done. All right, got water in it. No leaks. Saw that water right there and it scared me. But I forgot that I dipped my hand in there and got the gasket wet so I could get it to stick in place. So now I've got water on this. I'm gonna burp the air out. I got a valve right there. Got it set to drain. And there she goes. Blew the air out of it. Alright, so now this one's set for 115 volts, so the proper wires are tied together, and I just got to hook the line voltage back up to it. So give me a second here and I'll get that hooked back up. Got all the electrical back together. This is set up for 115 volt. The motor, of course, has the directions on the side. Tells you how it's supposed to be wired up for 115 volts. 3 wires to line, 3 wires to neutral. Doesn't matter which side. It will run either way. So now I gotta flip the switch. And there we go. It's quiet. It's running. So now I put this one back in service. We're gonna leave this one off. And it'll be our backup. If this one fails, has an issue, has to have an igniter put in it, whatever, we'll go to this one. So now it's ready to run as a backup. And if we want to, turn this one off next month and use this one as a lead and have that one in reserve. But that one's been in reserve for a long time. I had to run it because this one went down finally. So that's it in a nutshell. Don't be gentle on these guys when you're putting them back in service. This is, like I said, it's a $200 adapter. It's got to be machined, ground down, machined from the inside. Ain't cheap. Guys, thanks for watching. Talk at you later.